Last thing about the serve that's really key. Now we have to break into this. This video is primarily produced to show you the how-tos of the stroke. But at some point the where-to is important, and especially on the serve, we kind of have to dive into that a touch. How do you get from making a change in your technique to putting the ball in the court? In fact, more importantly, how do you get to a better level in tennis? Your level isn't so much determined by your placement as it is by the skills that you have. In other words, the more tools that you own, the better your level is. The better you are at your level has to do with your placement. So, and it's easy to see this. You can see this at home whether you've watched tennis videos or not, whether you've seen big time players or not. Even the novice viewer can tell right now which player has a better potential on a serve. A player with serve A or a player with serve B. Right away, B looks much more dynamic, much more active. You can tell there's a lot more the player can do with it. Which one's more consistent? We don't know. You would actually have to see them hit the ball first. So while B absolutely has more potential, B may be a little bit rusty and not be able to get the ball in the court. Being able to put the ball in where you want the ball to go is a function of practicing the placement, and anybody at any level with any technique can get better at that. Your technique can put a limitation on how high you can go in terms of level, but at your level, you can get very accurate at hitting the ball in the court. And the first thing we'd have to look at is what makes a beginner happy. When a beginner goes to, what makes a beginner happy in terms of the result of their serve. When a beginner goes to serve, a beginner is happy with anything in the box. When we teach beginners how to serve, we actually show them these 4 things right off the bat. We want to see the beginner learn to do this one, out, short, left, and one more. We actually want to see the beginner also go right. And you say, geez, that is unbelievable coaching. You just taught the person how to miss in every direction. Here's why it's important to know how to miss in every direction. If you know how to miss in each direction, you can affect a change. In other words, you don't want to just serve and wonder why the ball goes where it goes and not have any chance to be able to fix the thing. You have to be able to make a mistake in the opposite direction to get the ball where you want it to go ultimately. So, for example, this is perfect. The camera's looking right there. There's a ball in the middle of that court. I want to aim for that ball. And on the very first serve that I hit, I do this. Where would be, based on the last things that we had talked about in the videos, a good place for me to aim? Long of that. So if I aim out and I hit the ball out, at least I have something between the two I can try to figure out to get the ball there, to get it to the target. The worst thing in the world I could do is to make the same mistake over and over again. I'm going for the target, and 3 times in a row I hit the ball short. Because after all, practice makes permanent. Whatever I practice, I own. So I would much rather make mistakes in opposite directions and get that ball to find the target than I would make the same mistake 100 times in a row. So as I showed you on the first example, I missed short rather, then I missed long, and then I try to find the difference between the two. Long, short, there we go, getting closer. And the whole object is, at the end of the day, can I hone in on the target? Not can I hit the target, but can I hone in? So a beginner standard is anywhere in the box. What's the next standard you could add? The next standard is direction. Can I get the ball to the forehand side, the backhand side, or the body? So now can I move the ball around left and right within the box? The same process applies. Let's assume, for example, that I'm going to aim for that serve right down the center mark. I want that ball to go right down the center line, and this is the first effort I do. It goes toward the middle of the court right near the ball. Now in the match, I'm a happy guy. That ball went into the box and I'm playing. But in practice, that's not really where I wanted it to go. I wanted that ball to go much more down the center mark. So where would be a good mistake? This next serve, I want to aim that ball to the right of the center mark and see if I can get it over there. And if I aim to the right of the center mark, now again I have a difference to split between the two. And now I aim for the center line, and hey, look at that. I got the center line, and it's even on TV. So this is how you start to develop the directional control. And don't be shy to miss it in whatever direction you have to find that shot. There's two more standards. The next standard is depth. That's often overlooked, but depth is really important in having an effective serve as well. So you have to be able to not only direct the ball left and right, but to know the depth that you're looking for. Too many times we just are satisfied with left and right and we're hitting short serves all day. In fact, this is a funny thing. This ball right here, I'm going to put this ball about 5 feet from the line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 feet from the line. Many serves are hit at this direction. The odd thing about this 5-foot ball here is it represents about half of the box. Now from the other side, that 5 feet from the line looks like it's about 3 feet from the line. In other words, if I'm standing here and looking at a ball 5 feet from the line that's there, it looks much, much closer. You can aim significantly deeper in the court than you think you can. And when I say this ball right here represents the middle of the box, what I mean by that is, if I stand right here, it's very difficult for anybody to hit a serve over the net and behind me. In other words, the net's going to prevent the ball from landing in this area. So if you look at where this ball is relative to where I'm standing, it's about the dead center. When you start thinking about depth, you really want to push this serve much deeper. This is about 2 feet from the lines here in terms of your depth. And 2 feet from the lines, when you get to the other side, looks like about 6 inches. In other words, if I were on the other side and I placed the ball in the same place over there, it will look very, very close. But to get your depth control is the same exact thing. So I'm serving and I get this serve in. Now that's in, and in a match I'm happy. But I really need to start looking at the depth of that shot. That ball went really short. While it was in, very attackable. So in other words, if I want to start to get some depth, I got to learn to hit that ball long while I'm zoning in on the target. And again, when you split the difference between the two, that's your best chance. What happens when you intersect depth and direction? You get a single point on the court. That's why when the players are lining up to serve, and you see them serving and they get that look in their eyes and they bounce the ball, and sometimes, you know, they stick the tongue out, do whatever they're doing, they're looking at exactly the point where they want to hit the ball. And it doesn't take long to do this, but this is really where you need to get with your student right away. When I say it doesn't take long, I mean minutes to walk through this. I don't care what the student's level is. Even though a beginner is happy with the box, the beginner should aim for a single point within the box. I'm not saying that that single point has to be as aggressive as that target right there that's 2 feet by 2 feet to the line. That single point can be in the middle of the box and really safe. But the more specific your target is, the more specific your result is going to be. If your target is vague, if my target is the box, which is very vague, then the result is going to be very vague. As I get my target more specific, really what happens, my target will be less vague. So having a place to hit for when you do a target practice is paramount. And again, we'll use that ball as an example. When I go to do my serve practice, I have my target, I aim for it. Aiming involves two things, looking and imagining. Everybody has wonderful aim after that. Your result may not be the same, but your aim is really good. So I look at the target, I imagine it, I hit my serve, and then I evaluate. I missed that one by the left by 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So my next one, I'm going to aim to the right by 1.5 feet to 2 feet. So I aim to the right. All right. Now I got to the right, but I was a little long. So now I'm going to try to bring it back toward the target. So I aim. Oh, apparently I have two targets now. I aim, up, and in. And the whole idea at the end of the day is not how many times do I hit the target, but can I hone in on the target? That's the key. So your serve practice, or any target practice for that matter, involves making sure that you have an even distribution of shots around the target. Not just did you hit the target that day. It doesn't do me any good if I hit the target 3 times, but I missed to the left 17. If I missed to the left 17, I'm really learning to hit to the left. If I hit the target 0 times, but I have an even spread of 20 around the target, and it's pretty even on all sides, then I'm really learning to hone in on that target. Last thing though, it's important again, and I can't reiterate this enough, when you're practicing the serve especially, Do not work on the placement and the technique at the same time. Those two practices are very different. So if I come out with a student and we need to work on getting that ball in, it's an important match and you need success, stay away from technique. Especially if you're late in the season as a coach and you need that ball to go in, get the technique out of there unless he or she are doing something really crazy, and focus on the placement practice. If it's early season and you're working on stroke production to be better during late in the season, then you need to focus on the technique and leave the result alone. And you can work on both of those in the same day, but at separate times. In other words, you could spend 5 minutes working on technique and say, okay, try to keep that technique, but I'm really more concerned now with where the ball goes. But you can't merge the two because the placement practice always wins.